Hey guys, what's up? It's Zito Sports Nation, and on behalf of Zach and I, happy March. We're in March now. That means it's time for college basketball.
Yeah, it's the best time of year right now. Things are really ramping up. Feels like March just started a few days ago. Basketball's been crazy, buzzer beaters. We've had a ton of comebacks. It's the best time of year, and we are stoked that it's March now.
We're fired up. This is gonna be our only bracketology this week, guys, because this weekend Zach and I are gonna get working on some conference tournament breakdown videos. That's gonna get come out most likely Sunday, some Sunday, some Monday. If not all of it, will be there probably Monday. But we'll have those conference tournament breakdowns for you, get you ready for those because that's the best time of the year.
It is. That's when you see teams that don't deserve to be in it. They find their way. They pull off an upset, and it's
So
it's special.
some big thieves could be on the horizon. Who knows? But guys, we're gonna start our bracket here. We're gonna share our screen and let's get it going with our first bubble teams. And Zach, there's two teams sitting there with West Virginia and Nevada. One had good, one had bad this week. Pick your poison. Who do you want to talk about?
We'll talk about the good, and we'll talk about how West Virginia secured a huge win over Iowa State on the road. We know it's not an easy place to play. Iowa State rarely loses at home, but West Virginia gets it done, and they find themselves, securely, I think, on the right side of the bubble. Especially if they can get one more win, they'll be looking solid for March Madness.
On the flip side, you have the Nevada Wolfpack, who at times they've seemed like they're going to be a surefire bet, but they've been playing their way out. Monday night, they took that loss on the road at Wyoming. Probably are they last in the standings right now
I
for the
think
Mountain
so.
West?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably a quad three loss. Probably Nevada's worst loss of the year.
So it's tough, especially when you get into March. You get talking tournament time. They're going to need to do some work in Boise in the conference tournament for the Mountain West. So we'll see how the pack do. Last four in, we talked about the Mountain West, and you have the Boise State Broncos coming off a big win last night against the San Diego State Aztecs. That's huge for their season, Zach.
Yeah, it is. Because after that loss to San Jose State, there was a little bit of worry about Boise State. But that win that they got last night might be enough to get them in as long as they can get one more. And that was huge. Max Rice was huge down the stretch, scored 8 straight for them to really secure the win for them. So that was gigantic.
Wisconsin sitting there on the last four, and they're kind of in a tough spot now after that game on Sunday, losing to Michigan. Hunter Dickinson hits that three to send to overtime, and then Michigan takes the game in overtime. That's going to be a tough situation for Wisconsin and Michigan. We'll see
Always
how,
foul up three.
yeah,
Always foul when
John
you're up
Rothstein
three.
says it, but it's going to be interesting as we get going for them as they head to the tournament. They're going to need some wins. And you look at Arizona State. Arizona State's a team that's again coming off a big win. They got their win on Saturday at Arizona.
In heroic fashion. I mean, we watching the game, and as soon as we see that shot drop, I mean, I start freaking out because I hadn't that type of shot by Desmond Cambridge doesn't happen that often, especially when it's a season-saving shot like it was for them. That changes their whole season around. So Arizona State, and they got a huge game this weekend. I think they play UCLA this weekend, so they got another great opportunity.
First four out, we see the North Carolina Tar Heels sitting there, and that's an interesting spot. If you listen to Joe Lenardi talk, he talked at the halftime of the North Carolina game on Monday. He talked about how North Carolina needed to beat Florida State, which they did, and then their path to the tournament now requires them to beat Duke on Saturday, which is going to be a tough game. That one's in Chapel Hill. And then it's going to require them probably to win one, if not two games in the conference tournament for the ACC. And that's going to give them a path in if no absolute chaos happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see. He also said though that if this wasn't a if the name wasn't North Carolina, this team wouldn't probably even be talked about the tournament.
No, and I thought that was really interesting that he said that so so clearly. Is like this, we would not be talking about this. It was really interesting to hear that from Lenardi, and he said if they don't beat Duke, they need to probably one more win in the ACC
Looking
tournament
two
than
or three then.
2 or 3 at that point. So a lot of work cut out for UNC.
For sure. And then Zach, it's kind of you look at Michigan down there at the bottom. A lot's different with this team, but last year the kind of message I talked about on our show was just Michigan just needs to get in, right? And they kind of scrapped it and clawed their way in and fought ugly, and then eventually they got in the tournament and they made a little bit of noise. This is a different Michigan team, but again, they're scrapping and clawing. If Michigan can just get in, you never know what's going to happen with that team.
It's true. Michigan has a lot of tournament success. For Michigan, it really is as simple as that. They probably need to get in, and I wouldn't be surprised if they would win a game or two in March. I wouldn't be surprised at all. They did it last year. They did it the year before even. So yeah, I'm with you there. They just gotta. They have opportunities to lie ahead. They got to take advantage of them, and they might get in, and they could cause some damage.
Some work lies ahead for the Wolverines as they try and do that. Last year, we mentioned it. They kind of took a shot at the hearts of Zito Sports Nation. They beat our Rams last year. That was the team that the show loved, but we'll see how Michigan does this year if they can get their way in and start going. And then quickly on the next 4 out, give me one team here, Zach.
We'll go with Texas Tech. They let one slip away last night. I felt like they could have had that one. They made it a defensive battle. They kept the score low, but they couldn't pull it off. But Texas Tech, they got the Big 12 tournament coming up, so they might have a chance. Also, Utah State, they're right there. They've been winning a lot recently. I think as long as they can get a couple more, they can get themselves on the right side of the bubble.
Texas Tech falling last night at Fog Allen Fieldhouse against the Jayhawks would have been a big win. That would have been a resume booster.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to our bracket now, Zach. And the first team we have here is the Alabama Crimson Tide, again, as our overall number 1 seed. And I like Bama.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we got Iowa taking on NC State. And you like the Hawkeyes? You like the Pack?
I think we got to keep riding with our Pack.
Yeah.
We do. We have a lot of faith in this team. Our faith hasn't been shaken. We took 2 losses. They looked better last night, even shooting bad. So we still like the Pack.
On the flip side, now we got 5-12 San Diego State taking on Oral Roberts. San Diego State coming off their loss on the last night against Boise State. Does that loss do anything for you with the San Diego State team, or are you kind of
it's I don't know. Boise State was playing for their season, and they were going to do everything in their abilities to win that game. So I don't think it affects my opinion. And we've had Oral Roberts pull up so many upsets at this point. I think San Diego State is the play here.
Indiana taking on Southern Mississippi and the Hoosiers? Or do you think Southern Miss can do this?
I think Southern Miss can hang, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Trace Jackson Davis, who's just been unstoppable against everyone this season, against even guys like Zach Edey. He puts up 25 and 10 or 30 and 10. So I don't think Indiana have too much of an issue, especially with the emergence of Fitchafino lately.
Kentucky taking on Wisconsin here, and Wisconsin or Arizona State. My bad. Who do you like?
I like Kentucky here. The way they're playing is really good. They're starting to play. They're playing up to the preseason expectations, which is common of a Kentucky team. They got a lot of freshmen, so even though they're a little older than they have been in certain years, but still they're playing their best basketball at the right time.
Marquette taking on Colgate here, and the Eagles got another win last night. They're playing some good basketball, Zach. Or do you think that Colgate can get this one?
No, I like Marquette overall. I think Marquette is playing tremendous basketball lately.
Blue Devils pulled off a win last night against NC State in a tough game in the ACC competition. Those are 2 teams in the ACC that are just good teams. Like they're not great teams. They're not terrible teams. They're good, I guess. So they're taking on USC, who USC is a tough team to read. There's times where they've looked good this year. There's times where they haven't. What do you like? I
like Duke. I'm not too impressed with USC overall. I don't love what I see out of them, and Duke's playing a lot better recently. So I like what I'm seeing out of Duke.
Longhorns taking on Kennesaw State. Longhorns.
Kennesaw State pulled off the 1-point win in their conference tournament last night, but let's go Texas.
Texas taking on Duke, and this is gonna be a good game. I lean Horns. Who do you like?
I lean Horns too. I think they have the veteran. They got the veteran team that's been there a bit more than Duke has, and that gives me confidence in them.
Hook 'em Horns. Marquette taking on Kentucky. We just talked about how much we like both these teams and about how both teams have potential to do some damage. Coin flip for me. Who do you like?
I give a slight edge to Kentucky here. Even with as well as Marquette's been playing this year. I mean, I think they're 24-6 at this point. That's phenomenal, especially in a tough Big East. But I think I like Kentucky here. I think Sheboy would be an issue for them. And now that Reeves has fully, this last 2-3 weeks has stepped into the starting lineup, this has been a much better Kentucky team, a team that can shoot a lot better than they previously could. It's just a much better Kentucky team.
Let's have here, we got San Diego State taking on Indiana, and this is going to be a good game. Defense for San Diego State. Can they take in effect and lock down Trey Jackson Davis?
I think they can at least limit him more than a lot of teams can. I definitely think so. I think San Diego State has that type of defense, and I think they can do it. I think they have a good chance to win this game against Indiana.
Alabama taking on North Carolina State. And as much as we love Bama or NC State, last video we showed our love for NC State. This video, I think we're gonna rein it in a little bit here. We're gonna send the Tide with this one.
Yeah, let's send the Tide. We still love the Pack. They got a good chance this year.
They got a good chance, but Alabama's good.
Yeah,
they're good. When you have Brandon Miller on your team, especially when Brandon Miller is playing right, it's tough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're playing, you're gonna have a shot to win every game.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good. Alabama taking on San Diego State here, and just talk about how nice Alabama can be. San Diego State's a team that this would be a long run for them to make it to the Sweet 16.
It'd be a good run for them because they haven't been in the Sweet 16 in quite a while now. They probably would have made it in the COVID year because that was San Diego State's best team in a while. But tournament got canceled, so we'll never know. But I think, I like San Diego State and I like what they offer. I like to watch them play. But I don't think they could. Most likely, I don't think they beat Bama here. So I like Bama.
Kentucky taking on Texas in a matchup of Titans. Who do you like?
Who do you give a slight lean to? When I look at this right away, I kind of lean towards Texas slightly, but I think
I lean Texas slightly too. I think it's gonna be a great game
because they've shown
to see it.
I would too, actually, because they've shown the whole year that they've played great basketball throughout the season. They haven't had a big slump. They haven't had a worry, and that isn't necessarily important for March, but it at least gives me a little more faith to back Texas.
Well, they're a resilient team. With everything that happened with Chris Beard and that situation, a lot of teams, it would have been easy to fold and kind of crumple and just like have your season get derailed. But Texas didn't have that.
Yeah.
Which shows a lot of credit to that leadership on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that leadership is going to help them in this matchup where lights are going to be big. There's going to be a lot of attention on this game, and they have that veteran leadership. I think that's going to propel them in the win.
I'm with you on that. I like that.
Alabama taking on Texas in this matchup. And once again, we talked about the vets for Texas that kind of helped us get them over Kentucky. And I like that again.
I do too. I like Texas in this matchup. I think Bama's had a special season, but I don't know if it's a Final Four season still. And so I think Texas, with that veteran leadership, good guards, a good front court, I think they could do it.
Purdue taking on Hofstra here, and the Boilermakers get this one done. I'm fairly confident in that. Arkansas taking on Pittsburgh. That's a good game.
It is a good game. It's a good game. Very good game. Arkansas took a loss on the road to Tennessee last night, but I'm still not too concerned with them. I still think there's a ton of talent on that team. Once Nick Smith starts playing better, I think that Arkansas team can definitely go on a run. This Arkansas team, they easily could lose in this first round, but they have that Final Four potential, Elite Eight potential still.
Miami taking on Iona and the Fighting Rick Pitino's. Mm-hmm. That'll be a good game. Rick Pitino's going to keep those boys in it no matter what. But you like the Canes?
I think this can be one of those 5-12s where they keep Miami probably sneaks out like a 3-4 point win, I think is what this one would be. I think Miami would win, but I think Iona keeps it close.
UConn taking on Yale here. And it's the battle of the dogs here. We got the Bulldogs taking on the Huskies. Who do you like?
Yale, I don't know as much about. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say UConn. They're also playing a lot better right now, too.
You're telling me you're not a loyal follower of the Ivy League, Zach?
I think I know more about like Furman than I do Yale, sadly.
Unfortunately, you know who was good?
Trey
Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we for some reason we watched a Brown game earlier this year. They looked outstanding in that one game. Creighton taking on Nevada here, and Blue Jays.
Yeah, I like Creighton. Yeah.
Tennessee taking on Furman. This is gonna be an interesting game. And if this played, Tennessee is such an interesting team right now because they're without Zakai Ziegler, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know yet what the injury update is based on his knee. He got hurt last night in their game against Arkansas. And Tennessee struggles to score the ball. So this is a 3-14 upset. that I could almost pick.
Yeah, I'm right there. I really think so too. I think Furman is good. They're actually good. They handle their business well in the Southland. They it might be the Southland, but hey, they win consistently and they win by fairly big margins consistently. And I think you need to see that, in these type of upset games. And with Tennessee's inability to score sometimes, it makes me believe this could be one of those crazy upsets in March.
They're vulnerable.
They're
Tennessee's
vulnerable.
vulnerable with their inability to score, especially if you take away their point guard. So we'll see. Michigan State taking on Florida Atlantic in a matchup here, and FAU's having a decent season. They're at the point right now where they're almost where they probably are an at-large team, win the Conference USA or not.
Yeah. That's where the bid thief's probably going to come. It's probably from the Conference USA, at least one of them. I don't know. I think we roll the dice with the Florida Atlantic here. I don't think we haven't had them go too far before. We at least have them win a game here.
Kansas State taking on Vermont and the Catamounts. K-State?
Yeah, K-State.
The state of K-State taking on now Florida Atlantic. And K-State's having a special year, best year they've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like?
I like K-State to continue that special year. Both these teams are having really special years, but I like K-State.
Creighton taking on Furman and the Blue Jays.
Yeah. No, too crazy of Cinderella run for Furman.
Miami taking on UConn in a great game here. What do you like?
I could see it going either way. I think there's a lot to love about this matchup. I think, you got good guards. I think Miami wins in the guard battle, but then I think UConn probably wins down low with Sinogo and Klingon and Caravan. So it's tough for me, but we'll go ahead and give the edge to UConn here. There's advantages either way.
Purdue taking on Arkansas, and are we going to have our first one seed, our major upset go down here?
Upset City, Arkansas. This Arkansas team, the talent's there. They just haven't been able to gel it all together for long enough, but I think in March they can.
They get it together for one weekend at least.
At least.
Arkansas taking on UConn here and had some time to cool off. Who do you like?
We'll go with you. We'll go with UConn here. I could see Arkansas pulling off the 8 seed run because you see 8 seeds pull off this run, fairly regularly. But UConn they're starting to play their best basketball again, or like they were earlier in the year. So there's a lot to like about UConn right now.
Creighton taking on K-State here, and
this one's tough for me, Will.
do you set up the Big East battle? Do you set up K-State and the Midwest, or not the Midwest? This is the Midwest battle here. Do you send K-State and you set up that magical season for K-State continuing?
I don't know, because I've been such a believer in Creighton this whole year. I feel like I can't even look at this one like fairly. You can go with whoever you want.
Yeah. Well, what's the matchup inside with Kalkbrenner?
Kalkbrenner, it would be against Tomlin. For K-State, he's about 6'10", long, more of like a stretch guy.
Do you give that edge to?
Be a slight edge there for sure, I think, for Creighton. Let's go Creighton. We'll set up a Big East battle.
So we set it up with the Big East battle, and we got UConn taking on Creighton. And what do you like right away? What do you like, Zach?
Obviously, I prefer Creighton to watch and to root for over UConn. I definitely do. But with that said, though, taking the bias out of it, I think UConn has had so much March Madness success. Obviously, those are very different teams than what they have right now. But I'll go ahead and give the edge to UConn here.
Send UConn in that game. Right now, I'm just looking up the head-to-head for these two teams. They split the season series. UConn took one, Creighton took one, it looks like. Both teams holding serve at home. So it'd be a good game. It'd be something to
it'd be close.
A rubber match, and it'd be interesting to see. But let's go over here. We got KU taking on the winner of this playing game. Who do you like?
Oh, Kansas, for sure.
Kansas. Missouri taking on Rutgers here. And Mizzou set up that matchup with Kansas again?
Yeah, I like Mizzou. Rutgers' inability to score the ball for long stretches scares me.
St. Mary's taking on VCU. And
that's classic 12-5 upset right there. That VCU could – I watched them play last night. They look good. They look like a competitive team, really good on defense. I like VCU.
Virginia taking on Hofstra, and
It'd be close.
Yeah.
It would be close. And this is almost where I could see a 12 versus 13 matchup. But I think Virginia's defense would stifle Hofstra.
Virginia's always going to be susceptible to upsets just because of the way their style is. It's
just the nature of it.
It's the nature of it. So they're always going to be in games. So you can never go wrong picking Virginia to lose. But you also, and that being said, Virginia does win games still. So tough. Iowa State taking on Auburn here. What do you like?
It's who you hate less right now. I mean, both these teams have lost so many games. You know, Iowa State 6 of 7, Auburn something similar to that, 6 of 8 or something in that region. Yeah, I think for me, I don't like Auburn normally. I think Iowa State defensively is talented. I think Iowa State can pull it off.
Gonzaga taking on Toledo, and good game here, Zach.
It is. I think it'd be close. This would be I think it'd be a 14-3 scare, but I think Gonzaga with Drew Timme would do a little too much, and I think Gonzaga would get it done.
Maryland taking on West Virginia here, and do you like the Terps or do you like the Mountaineers?
I like the Terps. Anytime I've seen them play this year, they've looked really good. They dominated my Illinois earlier. They're playing really good ball right now. Beat Purdue by quite a bit, so I like Maryland.
UCLA taking on Youngstown State. And
if there was a 15-2 upset, it would be this one in this bracketology. However, I think it'd be similar to UCLA's tournament win last year in the first round, where it's ugly, but I think they'd win still.
UCLA, but it's a possibility. This isn't a comfortable 2-15 game necessarily. Maryland taking on UCLA. You got this game happened earlier this year. UCLA won fairly handily. So it's tough now to pick Maryland again, but do you see an ability for Maryland to win this game?
There's definitely an ability because this Maryland team's a lot better now than they were then. However, it's tough to pick the team that got beat by 30 in this exact matchup earlier in the year. So I'm going to have to go with UCLA.
UCLA takes this win. Iowa State taking on Gonzaga and the Zags.
We'll go Zags because Iowa State, I'm concerned. If Iowa State can show they can turn it around a little bit, I could probably flip that. But for now, Iowa State's not getting it done.
Virginia taking on VCU, little brother versus big brother here in the battle of Virginia schools. And for me, what I really like to say is that in the little brother, big brother games in college basketball, at least, the little brother always shows up with a little more fight. Now, does that fight always get them the win? No. But they want it because it means so much more to them to be able to knock off their big brother, especially in a big game.
Yeah, when the season's on the line, March Madness, I think VCU can. We talked about how Virginia is susceptible to being upset sometimes, and VCU has had Cinderella success in the past, and I think they could get this win and move on to the Sweet 16.
VCU gets this win. We got Kansas taking on Missouri. This is a matchup we saw earlier this year in Columbia where Kansas won handily.
Yeah, it was similar to the Maryland-UCLA matchup we talked about earlier. We saw it earlier in the year, and we saw a domination by one of the teams over the other.
I don't think it's a blowout. I don't think it's as big of a domination by Kansas as that was. I think the lights were bright for that Maryland or for that Mizzou team, and it was a little early in the season.
It was the first big game of the year too. They hadn't played a big one yet. I don't think they'd played a big one yet. So they were, I think, a little nervous to play a team of Kansas caliber.
That being said, though, I still like Kansas.
I like Kansas too. I think they'd win solidly, not in blowout fashion, like we said, but solidly.
Kansas taking on VCU, and you talked about the Cinderella and the success of VCU they've had in the past. This is a rematch of the Elite Eight that they had in 2011 versus Kansas, where VCU took that win and got to the Final Four. Who do you like?
I don't think it'll happen this year.
No.
What a run by VCU it was that year, but I think Kansas will be able to get by them.
Gonzaga taking on UCLA, and great game.
That is a great game. It was a little West Coast battle. That one's up in the air for me. We'll go Gonzaga because although UCLA's been winning, they keep winning. It hasn't been impressive in their wins a lot of times. So we'll go with the eye test, and that's telling me let's go Gonzaga.
Yeah, you look at their record, you look at what UCLA does. You think they're a great team. I'd challenge some people to go watch a UCLA Bruins game, and as we say that, they're gonna just go throttle someone. But lately, they win, but they win close games against bad teams.
They've been winning ugly, and Tiger Campbell hasn't been as good as normal. I think when he starts to play better, UCLA will start to play better because he orchestrates everything for them. So UCLA could definitely start to play better, and that could definitely happen.
Speaking of teams that go as far as their guard play will take them, you got Kansas taking on Gonzaga, and I was looking at some numbers. Kansas's only losses have come this season in the games when DeJuan Harris scores under 5 points.
And now in these last like 8 or 9 games, he's averaging like I think 13 or 14 a game now. He's starting to score the ball a lot, which gives me more and more confidence. And Kansas really wins the point guard matchup here between Gonzaga because Nolan Hickman isn't really a true point guard, and he's running point guard, and we really win the battle here. And I think you got a guy like McCullough who could shut down Strother. So I think Kansas would win this game.
It's a good KU team this year. They got a lot of similar pieces of that team from last year. There's some differences. Obviously, they're not the same team. You're missing Ochai Agbaji, who won the National Player of the Year last year.
Yeah.
You're missing David McCormick, who was insane down the stretch last year.
McCormick is the only guy that we don't have like a parallel with this year in terms of this Kansas team. Everything else, we at least have a guy that can step up in a similar role.
Yeah, but this KU team is still dangerous. I think this sets up well for them in this bracket in terms of matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And KU goes through that region. Now we got Houston taking on UNC Asheville and the Cougars.
Yep.
A&M taking on Illinois. A&M coming off back-to-back losses. Zach.
Well, they won last night, but they barely won against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
It was ugly, 63-59 or something like that.
You win tight against Ole Miss, virtually lost.
Pretty much. I'm wearing my Ole Miss shirt right now, but yeah, it was a bad game for them. Illinois coming off a loss too, but also a bad loss. So 2 teams coming off bad losses, lose to Ohio State. But I got to ride with my boys here. Let's go, Illinois.
TCU taking on Bradley, and this is a 5-12 game, but I don't think it's the same 5-12 game as the other games we've seen.
Yeah, I don't like that 5-12 as much as the others. I like TCU.
Xavier taking on Utah Valley and Musketeers, but Utah Valley's been sitting there at that higher of the non-Power 5.
And they've had them matched up against Xavier each time, and I can't pick against Xavier, but I want that matchup not to come true because I could see Utah Valley maybe pulling off an upset. So we'll go Xavier here.
We sit here in the 6-11, and I think the playing game kind of determines this matchup a little bit. If Boise State is in the playing game, you like Boise State over Mississippi State?
I do in like a 55-50 type of game because both these teams play defense at an extremely high level.
Okay, so Boise State taking on Northwestern. Who do you like?
I like Boise State because we're going to go off the play-in success that is so common. At least one team that wins a play-in game goes on and wins their first round matchup. And I think that'll happen. Like that's going to happen again. I think it's happened in like 10 of 11 years at this point, or 9 of 11 years. It's very common. And I think we see it again.
The Broncos get a win here. We got Arizona taking on UC Irvine now. And what do you like?
I like these 3-14 matchups are all really like, I think they could be close. I think almost all of these could be, but I think Arizona, too much size, just too much ability to score the ball. I like Arizona.
Wildcats get a win there. Providence taking on Memphis in an interesting game to me.
It is. This is an interesting 7-10 battle. We like the Tigers on this team. We think they have sneaky potential run. So let's go with the Tigers.
Memphis gets a W here. Baylor taking on Eastern Washington. And again, if we were talking about Eastern Washington earlier this year, we were talking about Eastern Washington even a week ago. This time a week ago, you're probably looking at Eastern Washington a little bit differently. And you're probably talking about, oh, well, maybe if things go right, they could pull off an upset. But right now, they took that loss on Saturday at Idaho State in the mighty Reed Gym in Pocatello, Idaho. And then they took another loss this week
to Montana
on Monday.
Yeah.
They're slowly starting to slide. And as they enter the Big Sky tournament, I don't even think they're locked to win their tournament right now.
No, they're probably not. Yeah. So I'm with you. I don't think Eastern Washington really has the best chance to pull off the upset, but
Baylor,
you never know.
Baylor gets one. That's the most we've talked about a 2-15 game in a while. Memphis taking on Baylor now, and let's talk about the Bears a little bit, Zach. Injuries,
Yeah,
question mark for them.
Keontae George got hurt. I don't know how long he's out for. It was decent injury though, so hopefully he's back for Baylor because injuries hurt them going in the tournament last year. So hopefully they can get him back. But this one would be good actually. Memphis Baylor. I almost want to say one more upset here.
One more,
and we go Memphis here.
Memphis gets a win in that game, and now we got Boise State taking on Arizona.
Arizona here. I actually don't think it would be too close.
No. TCU taking on Xavier and the Musketeers. It's a great game.
It is
terrific game.
This for me would be like me and Will would be. This would be crazy because we really believe in both these teams. Obviously, I believe in Xavier maybe more, but we both like them both. I like Xavier though. It would be tough though.
Good game.
We need Fremantle back though for Xavier, then it'd be even better.
Houston taking on Illinois in this matchup in a rematch of last year where Houston won fairly handily.
Yeah, they did. I
convincingly
think it would happen again. Maybe not a 15-point win for them, but I think Houston would beat us.
Houston taking on Xavier in this matchup of good schools. They're very good schools. But, who do you like?
No, this is tough. Let's go Xavier, though. Let's go Xavier. I think this Xavier team could do it. The potential's there. They have a great point guard and boom. They have everything you need in a team. So let's go Xavier.
Arizona taking on Memphis in this matchup. Yeah, I think it's a good game.
I think it is a good game. I think it's going to be closer than some people believe. But I think Arizona in the end probably sneaks it out.
Yeah.
Just barely, but I think it would be tough.
Now we got the Wildcats of Arizona taking on the Musketeers of Xavier. And a good game.
A good game. Another good one. This region will be interesting.
I think it's the best region by far.
Yeah, I think it is too, probably.
It's tough. It's a great game. I think your coin flip. I think Xavier has a tough route.
Yeah, let's go Arizona. Let's go Arizona here because I think Xavier does have a tougher route. They'd probably be exhausted at this point to beat TCU, Houston. It would not be
even
easy.
Utah Valley.
Even Utah Valley. That won't be easy. So let's go with Arizona.
So we got Kansas taking on Arizona, a rematch of our national championship game in our last bracket. And we got Texas taking on UConn. Take your pick. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Texas UConn.
Okay.
And I feel pretty solid in saying Texas beating UConn personally. I just think there's more to like. There's more guys that I can believe in to score the ball. Carr can score the ball. Hunter can score the ball. Timmy Allen. More guys I believe in. So I like Texas.
Arizona taking on KU here in a good game. How comfortable are you in Arizona after their performance on Saturday? Like, does that rattle you at all?
Not too much because that's a rivalry game. And you see interesting results in rivalry game. It does suck to take that loss at home, on a crazy, 3-quarter, half-court shot. But because I think this Arizona-Kansas game be so close. We had Kansas as our champ in the last video. Let's go with Arizona because we do think this would be a phenomenal matchup.
And we talked about the size of Arizona. That could be issues. We talked about it when you and I were talking earlier today about how Ballo could cause some issues and Tabellis.
Yeah, it's probably, if there's one big to deal with for Kansas, I think it's an easier task. You're talking 2 great bigs. The task is less easy, and that would be their big advantage.
So we got Arizona taking on Texas in 2 schools that have had success before, but it's been a little bit since they've had it. Who do you like?
This one's tough, but let's go. We'll go Arizona, the Conference of Champions.
Bill Walton singing.
For Arizona to win, though, they got to have Kirk Risa playing better. He was playing better early in the year. He's got to limit his turnovers. He's got to play better. Let's go with, if it be high scoring, let's go like 80-76.
80-76. The Arizona Wildcats win the ZDub Sports Nation bracket. Our last bracketology before we really get into conference tournaments in the conference postseason.
It's true. Because we'll have a couple more bracketologies next week, but like Will said, we're going to have some conference tournament videos coming out soon, like this weekend, Sunday-ish. So we're excited to make those, and man, we're excited because now we're going to see our first championship game on Saturday. Super excited to see it. We can see the Ohio Valley champion.
Yeah, we talked about we're gonna have our conference tournament videos. We're gonna come out with our Power Five conferences plus the Big East. Let us know what you guys want to see as well. If there's a conference that you guys are feeling and you want to hear us do a preview on it, hear us talk a little bit about it, leave in the comments. Let us know what you guys want to hear as we get ready for March, because we're ready for it and we want to get some videos to you guys. So let us know. Like and comment and subscribe, guys. Support us, give us some support. We're excited to be with you guys as we get ready for this big time of year.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Take care, guys.